Hey everyone, you can call me Slowpoke. So I've had like a weird history with the Hoenn games. I just don't think they're very fun to play. And I know. Hoenn is beloved. Hoenn is a beloved region and a beloved game. And I'm here to talk shit on it. But hear me out. I'm just personally not a fan of Hoenn's level progression and pacing. I think that especially in the original Ruby and Sapphire, it can be really hard to feel like you are at par with the things you're fighting, unless you want to do a whole bunch of level grinding against wild Pokemon, which, as a 27-year-old, isn't fun. And when I was a kid, it wasn't fun either. Also, as much as people love to complain about the huge stretch between Gyms 1 and 2 in Kalos, I think there are just as big stretches between Gyms 3 and 4 in Hoenn. And I think a lot of these issues are only made worse by the remakes, unfortunately. And that's not coming from a place of like early Pokemon elitism, because I genuinely love the 3DS era of Pokemon games. But Oras just doesn't hit for me. However, despite what I've said, I like Hoenn's design as a region. When you look at Kanto and Johto from generations 1 and 2, they're perfectly fine regions, but they didn't really have a lot of variety in places that you would go to. You would see a lot of grasslands, a lot of caves, a lot of water, oh, maybe even an icy cave. But that's about it. Oh, and forest. There's like a forest in each game. But Hoenn added so much to the environment. I mean, you've got a volcano, you've got a jungle, a meteor crater impact site thing. You've got this whole mountain that's like a graveyard. But there's one route in the game that hasn't really made a return in this series, and I think it's one of the most interesting. Of course, I'm talking about Route 113. Now, when you're playing this game, a lot of you might skip through this route, and I don't blame you. There's not really a lot that goes on in this route. There's not really a whole lot of things to catch. It takes place at a point in the game where you just kind of want to get yourself to Meteor Falls so that you can fight Team Magma or Aqua, and then you can go to the 4th gym. So what about this route is so special to me? Well, when you start to examine it further, you realize that this is one of the most unique routes in any Pokemon game ever. And it's placed somewhere completely inconspicuous. So let's take a look at the Pokemon that you can find on this route. You have Sandshrew, Skarmory, and of course the subject of this video, Spinda. Now, in regards to shiny hunting, something I find super interesting about the Pokemon that you find on this route is that they're all green. And we'll talk about this in a second. Now, this is what it looks like in Oras and in Ruby Sapphire, but in Emerald, they actually replaced Sandshrew with Slugma, whose shiny is silver. And as much as it kind of breaks the theming, there's also a very interesting reason as to why this is here. Side note, but I think it's really cool that all 4 Pokemon available on this route have names that start with S. That's of course exclusive to the English localization. Their Japanese names all start with different characters, but it is something neat here for us. So I want to talk more in depth about why each Pokemon's shiny kind of makes sense here. Now, Skarmory's shiny may be a reference to how copper turns green when it oxidizes. You can see how the red on its wings, which is kind of like the normal hue of copper, turns to green in its shiny. Now, what I think is interesting about this personally is that supposedly volcanic ash, which Route 113 is known for being covered in, can in some cases actually oxidize metal. Well, it's more accurate to say that it accelerates the speed at which metal corrodes, but still, that could be a perfectly reasonable explanation for why shiny Skarmory can be found on this route. As for shiny Sandshrew, the Sandshrew line, both Alolan and Cantonian, actually have abilities that work in tandem with certain weather effects. For Cantonian Sandshrew, it has abilities that work in conjunction with Sandstorm, and for Alolan Sandshrew, it has abilities that work in conjunction with Hail. Now, this route has a very unique weather condition, but not something mechanical in battle. It's more out in the field, where you can watch the volcanic ash from Mount Chimney pouring down upon the route. And in some instances, volcanic ash can be green. It's hard to find a lot of sources on why, but there's speculation as to it maybe being a product of copper or iron that's undergone some sort of chemical change being found within the volcanic ash. However, what I think is more likely for shiny sand true is that it's actually green sand. So there's a beach in Hawaii called the Papalokia Green Sand Beach. And the reason that this sand is green is from traces of olivine found in the sand, which is a pretty common component of lava. And in this instance, it's crystallized into a sort of peridot-like state where it becomes green. Now, considering regular sand true gets its abilities and its coloration from regular sand, perhaps shiny sand true would get its coloration from something like this. And it's not too far-fetched to say that maybe the lava from Mount Chimney could produce this sort of effect on this route. Then there's the case of shiny slugma. And this is a really easy one, actually. So magma, when it cools down, can sometimes take on a sort of silvery appearance. That's most likely what shiny slugma refers to. As for shiny Spinda, I don't really know, but it's special in its own way. Spinda itself is a very special Pokemon. Its whole thing is that there are about 4 billion unique patterns of Spinda, meaning that if you get a shiny Spinda, it's most likely that that's the only one that will ever exist. Now, of course, there are ways to replicate that. Gen 3 has very easy RNG manipulation, so you could use it to get multiple of the same pattern of shiny Spinda. But if you're just regularly random encountering, the likeliness that you would run into the same Spinda twice is a statistical improbability so high, you would not be able to find it again before the heat death of the universe. And honestly, that's kind of the reason that I wanted to hunt Spinda for this video. Because I know that if I find a shiny Spinda, that will be my shiny Spinda. No one else's. And I just love that. I love the idea of having a completely unique Pokemon. And I think it's kind of fitting that you find this Pokemon on one of the most unique routes in the franchise. It's a Pokemon that introduced an entirely unique mechanic only used by itself. And similarly, Route 113 introduced a lot of unique mechanics that were only ever used on this route. For example, we have the Glass Workshop, where when you enter it, you get this key item called the Soot Sack. When you run through this uniquely textured grass, you'll pick up soot that can then be traded in at the Glass Workshop for glass flutes. This is a mechanic that was only ever used here. It never ever returned in another game in the franchise. There are also these soot pile things. Now, granted, this concept was used again in Diamond and Pearl and then never again, but trainers would hide in these things and then jump out at you. But there's also a chance that you could find an item, and the only way you'd know which is if you went up to it. That's a pretty unique mechanic and only used here in this game. Finally, even the trees are unique. They're only used on this route and Route 114, which is on the other side of Fall Arbor Town. So it lends to a completely unique aesthetic that's never even been replicated in another Pokemon game. Some things kind of come close, like Sinnoh's Route 227, which shares an aesthetic with the rest of the post-game island that has the battle area, survival area, and resort area, but not really. I would say the biggest comparisons that can be drawn are the unique trees and grass textures. There's also Reversal Mountain in Black 2 and White 2 that has a unique sort of deserty kind of texture. It's got these unique dead trees that, while not necessarily reminiscent of Route 113, definitely do evoke Fall Arbor Town a little bit. And then finally, there's Wela Volcano Park in the Alola region, which is probably the biggest stretch. I would say it's near a volcano and it's got different grass. That's about it. So that all kind of comes together for me in creating one of the most unique experiences in Pokemon. be it the route mechanics, the aesthetics, even the Pokemon that you find on it. And Hoenn is chock full of this kind of stuff. It feels like there's a level of attention to detail in a lot of the routes in Hoenn that make it a very compelling region, just not a very compelling game to play. But during a shiny hunt, you don't really care about that. At least for me, a big part of shiny hunting is learning to appreciate the small parts of a game instead of the wider scope of it. And so that's what I'd like to do with this video. This is not just me hunting a shiny Spinda. This is me appreciating a segment of the game that most people probably haven't. I'm about to start streaming a hunting attempt for shiny Spinda in the Generation 3 and Generation 3 remake games. I've got Pokemon Emerald, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire all lined up, and I've got this shrine devoted to the gods of Hoenn. So Groudon for Omega Ruby, Rayquaza for Emerald, Kyogre for Alpha Sapphire, and then Latios and Latias to provide me with speed. Over here, I've got my nourishments for the stream, all Spinda themed. We've got Mountain Dew because it's green. We've got these Lay's poppables. I kind of felt like they were perfect because you've got like the orange and yellow for regular Spinda and then the green and yellow for shiny Spinda. I got some gummy bears and I got some peach rings. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. All right, guys, my first sip of the stream. Got my Mountain Dew. Gonna be drinking green to try to channel green. First snack of the stream, I'm busting out the gummy bears. First gummy bear, green. Green for Spinda. I will say that, like, I do like the offerings of the Pokemon available on this route in Emerald more, simply because it gives a spotlight to Skarmory and to Slugma, who were two Pokemon that in the generation they were introduced in Gold and Silver, you don't get until very late in the game, kind of past them being useful. And so I feel like they work best as like mid-game Pokemon, which you kind of, you know, you get them here. So it's like if you wanted to use a Skarmory in a playthrough, Gen 3 is probably the best place to do it, because of where in the game you get it, how its stats are kind of balanced out. And I think, you know, for me, the experience of hunting shinies doesn't necessarily just tie to the fact that I want to get a Pokemon with a cool color. I want to appreciate an aspect of the game just a little bit more than I normally would. You know, like I said, I think this is kind of a route that you don't really think too much about in a casual playthrough of the game. You know, like, maybe the first time you ever play this game as a kid, you might go through with the soot sack and like step on every patch of grass just to, you know, get every piece of ash that you can. And then you realize that all of that hard work, you don't even get to get like one single flute out of it. So you're like, oh, f this, and you end up leaving. And then it just becomes one of those things where in later playthroughs of the game, you don't think about it. It's just a straight shot through and you just end up running through the game. Doing this hunt here helps me to, I guess, see the importance of smaller routes like this that are kind of strategically placed throughout the game. You know, the less memorable parts of it. Also, going back once again to the inclusion of Skarmory on this route, I think it's kind of interesting because Skarmory is like a very low encounter rate for this route. Like, I want to say it's like 1%. It's a Pokemon that you're very unlikely to even run into if you're just kind of like zipping through this route, but it sort of rewards you for like staying around and, you know, like really exploring this route to its fullest potential. There's just so much about this section of the game that really like asks you to stop and appreciate it.
and I think that's fun. There aren't a lot of places in Pokemon quite like this. I'm busting out my second snack of the stream. I've got these Lay's Poppables. They're supposed to be like veggie. I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy the flavor. I mean, probably. I mainly got them because these two colors look like regular Spinda's pattern, and you've also got a green one, so you have like the green and then that for shiny Spinda. I'm really trying to bait this thing out with symbolically chosen snacks. Here's regular Spinda. Here's shiny Spinda, I guess. You can kind of barely tell the difference between these. I was hoping they would be at least a little more green. Again, it's not too noticeable, but that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna bait out shiny Spinda using... What even are these? I don't know. What would you consider a Lay's Poppable? Because Lay's makes chips, but these are not chips. This is not a chip. They're good though. I don't know if anyone needs the reminder, but take your meds if you've got meds to take. The final snack of the stream, which is peach rings. Because they kind of remind me of the spots on Spinda. By the way, I kind of low-key don't really like peach rings that much. I just got them for Spinda. This is for you, little guy. Not a shiny, not a shiny, not a shiny. Rip. I mean, I was only streaming for an hour. I expect to get it in an hour. All right, here's my setup for today. I'm double hunting in Alpha Sapphire and Sapphire because it's rainy today and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. So I'm going to let Kyogre choose my fate, and I've got Latias here for the Virgin exclusive support. Let's do a couple encounters on camera, and then I'm gonna go do the rest off camera. Well, that was a bust, but I'll update you if I find anything. Alright, it's the next day and it's still rainy, so I still have the same setup going on, but I've decided to add a gloom to my party in Alpha Sapphire so that I can start doing horde encounters to try to bump those numbers up a little bit. The way I see it, like, it's still random encountering because it's still full odds, it's just I get to see more at once. So, I'm gonna do a couple encounters on camera, and then I'll go back to doing off-camera stuff. Wish me luck. Got a regular Spinda on the Sapphire. Got 5 regular Spindas on Alpha Sapphire. Got another regular on here, and I'll do one more horde encounter on here. Cool. I started at like 300 today. This horde encounter method is definitely like helping a lot. Alright, are you ready for this? We're about to hit encounter number 1000. And we still don't have a shiny, but it's progress. It's progress. I've made a lot of progress today. This is 700 encounters today already. Alright, I'm busting out the peach rings. I gotta summon these things somehow. I think once I hit 1500 encounters, I'm gonna be done for the day, because I am starting to actually feel a bit dizzy. Alright, that's 1500 encounters. I still haven't found a shiny yet. I am feeling pretty dizzy myself, so I'm gonna go take a break from this shiny hunt for now. Hey guys, so I've spent a little bit just doing horde encounters in both Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and oh wait, what's this? Huh?
I'm a 27-year-old.
To absolve myself of my previous day's sins, I ended up going on a boat. This was for a work trip, but it wasn't actually work. We went to the Toronto Islands to go to Hanlan's Point Beach. That's the oldest surviving queer space in Canada. Goodbye, Toronto. And I had to get a little footage of a statue of Edward Hanlan. And gay little me next to this gay little sign. Obviously, I brought my 3DS so I could do an encounter on the beach in Alpha Sapphire to try to appease Kyogre, the god of the sea. Fun fact, I was getting actively sunburned while taking this video. And of course I didn't find anything. But it was a fun day. Say hi, Jack. A couple days later, my band got to play a gig at this weird warehouse up in North York. And my bassist Simon had blood work taken earlier in the day, so I had to actually fill in for vocals on one of his. Ozzy Osbourne had just passed around the time, so we decided to cover Electric Funeral by Black Sabbath as a little tribute. And that's about it for the next 2 months. I didn't do any vlogging, filming, or hunting until October.
Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Oh my god, it's Spinda. Oh my god, it's Spinda. Oh my god, it's Spinda right there. Oh my god. I've been doing this hunt for months and I was feeling terrible today. I was feeling really emotionally bad today, and so I'm like, okay, well, I saw that one of my favorite streamers started streaming, shout out, and oh my god, and then I wanted to like shiny hunt, so I pulled out the systems, and in literally I did 150 encounter. Well, actually, did I count this? I think it's okay. So 156 encounters today, and it's there. It's right there. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, and you know what? It looks like it's a really cute pattern too. We'll look at it more up close, but yo. So I'm just gonna chuck balls and see what happens. Oh boy, I have 2 great balls and 13 Pokeballs. I swear to god I had nest balls. I wanted to catch this thing in nest ball. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Let's see what happens if I throw a Pokeball. Yes! Shiny Spinda! Okay! Oh my god. Wait, is that just how it looks in the Pokedex? Or is that how it actually looks? I think... No, because that's how it would look in the Pokedex. That's like its static thing. Dude, this is a really good pattern! It's so cute! Maybe I name it after the streamer I'm watching. Cool. What are the neutral natures again? I think, is mild a neutral nature? I'm gonna guess mild. Hardy. I don't even think mild is a neutral nature. Wow. Let me see Spinda. Dude. My baby. My guy. I love the way it dances around. Feed you a Pokebuff. It's so baby. That's my green panda. Hey you guys, so it's been about a month since I caught Spinda, and I don't really know how to end this video. I mean, yeah, you know, I caught the Spinda, that was the aim of this video, but there's something about it that feels unceremonious. So I've been trying to edit this video for about a month, and I've been trying to come up with fun ways that I could end the video that aren't just, oh, I found the shiny. But nothing really quite sit right with me until last week, when I was talking about this with a friend. They suggested that maybe I make the ending of this video less about finding Spinda and more about tying it into the beginning of this video where I talked about appreciating Route 113. Now, there is a correction that I want to add. In that initial presentation, I forgot to mention that apparently you can also collect soot on Jagged Pass. There are 2 patches of grass that allow you to do this, and they completely slipped my mind because, to be honest, that's an area of the game that I forget exists a lot. But that does exist, so I was wrong earlier, and I'm going to admit that. So I did talk about what you can do with soot that is collected, and you can basically take it to this glass workshop that's on Route 113. You can spend different amounts of soot to acquire the flute items as well as the pretty desk and the pretty chair in the Generation 3 games, and they're renamed to the elegant desk and the elegant chair in the Generation 6 games. These are items that you can use to decorate your secret base, and they kind of cost a lot. So I think it might be kind of fun to end this video doing a mega grind to get all of the soot required to get those items, that is all the flutes and the secret base items, and make a secret base using those items. And I guess I have to do this in Omega Ruby since that's the game that I caught Spinda in. But the thing is, I also kind of want to try it in the Gen 3 games. The methods of acquiring soot are very different between the games. In the Generation 3 games, it equates to the amount of steps that you take through grass, whereas in the Generation 6 games, there are actual piles of soot that you have to walk through, and you can either get a small amount of soot or a large amount of soot, and the small amount can be anywhere between 5 to 15 grams, and the large amount can be anywhere between 30 to 60. So now instead of measuring soot in steps, it's measured in grams, and I want to see which method is faster and more efficient. I want to basically see if they made it easier or harder to do in the remakes. So I'm actually going to do both, and I'm going to time both and compare, I guess. I just figure that might be a fun way to end the video. So yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, so before I start actually timing this, I want to figure out how much soot I've actually collected so far, and then see how much I can spend to get myself close to 0. So to do that, I have the values of each of the items pulled up on Bulbapedia, and apparently the pretty desk is worth 8,000 steps. So if I see how many steps I need to get the desk, which apparently here is 6,563, that means I have roughly 1,500 units of soot already, I guess. So if I collect a black flute and then just grab like a bit more and get a yellow flute, I can get myself to 0. Alright, got exactly enough steps to get a black flute and a yellow flute, bringing my soot to 0. So I'm fully reset, and now I can start timing this. Some final information before I start this challenge. I will need 17,250 total steps to get every single item and piece of furniture from the glass workshop. I counted out by hand 289 tiles of grass on this route that I can collect soot from. That means that I will have to traverse the entirety of the grass on this route around 60 times to be able to get every single item. So I have the timer paused right now at 46:08 with 26 runs through the route. I will on screen leave a calculation of roughly how much time it would take to do the full 60 runs. But the thing is, right now I've ran out of repels and I've ran out of money to buy repels. So I have 2 options. Either I can play more of the game, get more money, get more repels, continue going, and I can see how close to the approximation I get, or I can continue running through the route without repels, encountering more Spinda, and potentially maybe getting myself closer to another shiny Spinda. because I did originally want to encounter it in Gen 3. The thing is, I'm not quite sure which of those I want to do right now, so I'm gonna sit on it for a little bit.
I'm gonna come down very soon. I'm gonna set it up. Don't worry, we have this room for a while.
You just gotta look through. You gotta look through the holes in the tree.
I don't know what to tell you. Looking
You just gotta you gotta crouch and you gotta look through the holes.
God. He's not gonna find it. He's not gonna find it. He's not gonna find it. There's no way. I grew up with poor eyesight. That's my excuse.
Oh my god, that's so
That are like handmade throughout the years. And I was like, you have to come over and hang up your ornaments. I'm not doing it for you. I'm like,
so cute.
sorry, I'm just like,
We just do like a
Christmas
there's like a general.
Are you pointing right at it?
Right here.
Okay, so it's been a few weeks and I finally come back to this. I'm at 1 hour 37:38 and I'm 54 runs through, so I only need 6 more runs, but I am completely out of repels again, and I am so close that I don't feel like continuing to play more of the game just to get a few more repels to do the last few runs. So instead what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to set up a stream tomorrow or something like that, where I just do the last few runs repel-less, and if I get a shiny, I get a shiny, and if I don't, I don't. But either way, I'll be making my secret base in this game, and then maybe even move on to Oras and see what that's like. It's funny how when I started this video, I was getting sunburned, and now there's snow outside. Hey, how's it going? Wow. I wanted to introduce our partners for today. I'm bringing back Latios, and I'm bringing back Groudon as well. I got this silly little plushie of Spinda off of like Temu for basically nothing. And it's got this like doopy little suction cup on its head that I don't know what to do with yet, but I'm keeping it on there. But I'm going to have Spinda laying in the background of the stream just like this. And that's our friends for today. All right, you guys, this is it. This patch of grass right here, that's the last patch of grass. As soon as I step on that, I'm done doing runs through this route. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Booyah. So now, if I go to the glass blower, I should be able to get every single item. Let's book it to this guy. We're entering his house. Let's see it happen. Start at Blue Flute. Gonna get the Yellow Flute. The Red Flute. White Flute. Black Flute. And now for the 2 furniture items. We got the pretty chair. And finally, the pretty desk. What do you mean? No, I did my calculations, right? I still need 7,251 steps? That's... No, I'm sure I did my calculations right. That's a lot. That's a lot more runs through this. Dude, what the heck? I can't, like, what? That can't be right. I did 60 whole runs through this. I counted my grass correctly. Is there a cap to how much the soot sack can hold?
Sorry, I'm gonna have to move you guys out of the way. I need to Google this. Cut the music. I don't want the music anymore. So okay, here's the thing, right? If I go and I look at the pretty desk, 7,251. The total amount that you need to get every single item is 17,250 soot. So here's my thinking. I think the soot sack caps out at 10,000 soot because that number is way too specific, but it's such a niche topic that I can't seem to find anything on it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. A is Professor my stupid chungus life here. 289. That's the amount of tiles I counted out by hand on Route 113 in Sapphire. 17,250. That's the amount of steps or the amount of units of soot that you need to get every single item from the glass workshop on Route 113. So let's do a little math at home. When you divide this number by this number, what do you get? 59.68, or we can round that up to 60. That's the number of runs that you need to do through the route in order to get this amount of soot. Makes sense. So tell me why, when I did this number of runs, I didn't end up anywhere close. So I was able to purchase the blue, red, yellow, white, black flutes, and the pretty desk, and it totaled up to this amount of soot, 9,250. However, when I tried to then purchase the pretty desk, which costs 8,000 soot, I was told that I needed to walk 7,251 more steps if I wanted to get the pretty desk. That means that in my inventory, I had 749 pieces of soot. What happens when you add 749 to 9,250, 9,999. That's a pretty coincidental number, almost as if the soot sack caps out at 9,999. I can't find information about this anywhere on the internet. I might have stumbled upon something. But here's the thing, if I want to prove that I actually found something, I have to get this amount of soot again, which is going to take me a long time. So here's what I'm going to do. 35 runs. 35 runs is the number of runs that I have to do to get 10,000 pieces of soot in my soot sack. Once I have that amount of soot, I'm going to purchase the pretty desk. Now here's some more easy math. How much soot should I have left if I purchase the pretty desk with the supposed cap of 9,999 in my soot sack? That's right, 1,999. If I then afterwards try to purchase a second pretty desk, this is the number that I should see that he will tell me that I need. If that is in fact the number, I will have proven that the soot cap is 9,999. So why do I want to prove this? I have always been obsessed with Pokemon trivia, and I've always wanted to unearth a piece of Pokemon trivia not yet documented. This is my chance to. If I can prove that this is the soot cap, I might have my name go down in history. And that's so much cooler than just finding a shiny Spinda.
Okay, it's January 12th, so I took a bit of a break from this grind for a while. In the background, I have been kind of playing Sapphire to just try to make more story progress. I just beat Winona and got myself the 6th badge, and so I have a decent amount of money saved up, as well as the HM fly that I can throw on my Swellow. So I think I might as well continue the grind, because I can blow all that money on repels and hopefully be done this tonight. It's 11:30. I'm on run 35, which means that this tile of soot in front of my player character is the last tile of soot. So just a reminder, the pretty desk costs 8,000 soot.
If my theory is correct that the soot sack caps out at 9,999, I will buy this desk. I will attempt to buy it again, and he should tell me that I am 6,001 steps short. If that's the number that pops up on screen, then I will have been correct. Okay, I have the pretty desk. That's the last item, by the way. So I'm done this grind. Okay, moment of truth. Guys, I was right. I was right. It caps out at 9,999. Oh my god. I just proved it. Oh my god. Alright, and this is where I'm making my secret base. It only feels fitting being on Route 113. Now, I get to sit on my pretty chair at my pretty desk with all of my flutes. Today, I am going to take a bit of a break from the Soot Grind, and instead, I'm going to max out the affection on Kotatsu, my shiny Spinda. This is because I want to spend a little bit more time with the shiny that I just acquired. Well, I say just acquired, but I think I got it back in October and it's midway through January now. But I didn't want to lose sight too much of the original intention of this video, so I decided that I would spend more time with my shiny Spinda before completing the very last grind and ending this video. Now here's the thing, maxing out a Pokemon's affection on Pokemon Amie is not something I've done in a very long time, but it is something I remember how to do. I've been doing it since 2013. Typically when you're trying to max out your Pokemon's affection, the best way to go about it if you're trying to grind it out in one session, pet them, feed them, and then play with them a couple of times. This will reset their need for pets and their hunger, and then you can just keep doing the cycle over and over again. Plus, playing with them gets you more Pokepuffs, so you can keep feeding them. I don't know which one of these mini games you guys typically do. Comment that down below, but I'm personally pretty good at Head It, and that's the one that I like to do. Even though it's super repetitive, I do like this one over the other options. So I'm about to engage in a Head It grind for probably the next hour or so of my life. Already off to a great start. It's gonna take me a little bit to remember the timings on these things. And I always suck at that one, but it doesn't matter because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go through all of the stages of difficulty until I unlock basically like the free mode, because I tend to find that in like the ultimate difficulty or whatever it's called, I don't even remember, but basically the mode where you can go like an unlimited amount of time and it's just based on like how many lives you have, I find that I can very easily max out the score meter on that, and then that gives me access to the best Pokepuffs. Oh hey, I actually got it that time. I'm also always going to be feeding this thing the best Pokepuffs available, just to try to get the most hearts out of it that I can. Also, I quite like this Spinda pattern. It's a nice pattern. I feel like I really lucked out with this pattern. I think I just hit affection level 2 or 3, let me see. Yeah, I hit affection level 2. I've unlocked unlimited mode on Head It now, but before I do that, I do actually want to give the other minigames a shot, so I'm going to try to get through all of the levels of Berry Picker. This is admittedly one that I don't have as easy of a time with, but I still try my best. I'm already starting to get a little messed up on this one. Yeah, a little worse than the last one. I hit affection level 3, let's go. Honestly, something I've come to realize while making this video is that I think Spinda is one of my favorite Pokemon. Like, unironically, low-key, I think Spinda is one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm not good at this. I'm really not good at this. 15 berries. How many stars did I get? 3. Please don't call me a pro. That's so patronizing. But yeah, I don't know what it is with me and always being like, I'm just a huge sucker for Pokemon that are really, really dopey and weird. Case in point, the namesake of my YouTube channel. Comment down below if you also love dopey, weird Pokemon and what your favorite dopey, weird Pokemon is. So I did unlock Unlimited Berry Picker. I don't think I'm going to be good at this one, but I'll give it a shot anyways. This one is so hard because it requires so much more focus. I feel like it'd be way easier to do this on a standard 3DS screen and not like an XL because I have to go so much further. Yeah, there it is. I'm done. How'd I do? Probably terribly. Okay, not too bad. All right, that was a pleasant surprise. All right, next I'm gonna go through the puzzles. Let's do easy. Okay, this shouldn't be too bad because I can just kind of do the corners first and then just make sure everything that's on the bottom is on the bottom. So those look like that, and then that's like that, and then that there. Done. Puzzle amateur. I hit affection level 4. You know what that means. Now it's time for the real grind. There we go. We're done. Done the medium and I only got 3 stars. Time for the hard. I'm never good at the hard, and you're gonna see that in real time. Well, maybe not in real time, but I'll cut to when I'm finished. Wow, it only took me 1:48. I got 2 whole stars on that, and I didn't even unlock unlimited. Okay, now it's time to really hunker down and do the unlimited tier of head it. So I do it twice, and then I'll do my little petting and feeding. Do it twice. That's the cycle. Let's go. Ultimate header master, and I got the highest tier Pokepuffs. Booyah. Now I just have to do that a billion more times. My eyes hurt. I didn't do as good that time, but it's only the stars that count. Okay, I believe that means we're at 4.5 affections. All right, time for another round of 2 head-its. All right, I can let the combo drop now. Wowie. There we go. I think that's 5 affections. Let me check. Let's go. 5 whole affections. We maxed out Spinda. I'm gonna decorate. Why not? I think I kind of like this one. Oh, this bed for sure would go well in here. And a little star, because Spinda's our star. I'll do an orange cushion, a green cushion for regular and shiny Spinda. And then this puffy cushions, and I'll put a Pokepuff out here too. Why not? Let's go.
Howdy! Final quick life update. So it's been about a month since I did the previous grind. I played a show, which I'll put some footage up. And I also started therapy. Yay me, I'm getting better all the time. And I kind of think maybe, just maybe, I can summon the strength to do the entire Oras grind tonight. I have some things I have to go do, but when I get back, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna finish the video, finally.
All right, everyone, we're ending it tonight, okay? My face is on camera so you can see my live reaction when we go in to the glass workshop and we get every single item. In the background, I've got my Spinda plushie, and I'm just gonna grind this out. I have a ton of super repels, and I hope that this is going to be enough. I really, really hope that this is going to be enough. Ooh, this bike doesn't control great. Wait. There was a soot pile right there. Do they not respawn? Why aren't the soot piles respawning? They're all gone. Do I have to go inside, maybe? Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, that's kind of not cool. I wish they just reset when you exit the route and enter it again. Clearly, I have to rethink my strategy, just to go inside. By the way, how much do I have already? Will you tell me? Not enough. 47 more grams to make a blue flute. I'm not going to look up how much that is right now. Wow, these repels are wearing off really fast. I guess the most optimal route is to kind of go into this guy's house, do like a quick loop around this way, and then go back inside. I don't know how much that nets me every single time I'm doing that. Okay, so I'm just curious. I want to see how much I have right now. Okay, I'm gonna get the blue flute. You get the yellow flute. Okay, so the blue flute and the yellow flute cost 750 grams total, meaning that just in that short period of time, I already got 750 grams. And he said that I was, what, 123 short of getting another blue flute. So that's 127 that's currently sitting in my inventory. I want to do another little round, and then I'm going to see how much soot is added to my inventory so I can kind of calculate like what the average amount that I seem to pick up on the route is. 68. So I picked up from that run. Okay, I think we got around 35. No, that doesn't sound right. Pulling up a calculator. So we picked up 55 just through doing that one circle. Now I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna see how much we got. So our total right now should be 182. Tell me how much I have now. 13. I got the same amount as last time, which was 55. Okay, strange. So when I walked in here, I had 409 grams of ash in my inventory, which is a huge leap. So I was able to buy a blue flute, and then I tried to purchase a second one, and it said I needed 91 more grams. So yeah, I would have had 409 in my inventory, which means on that run, I got 172, which is like roughly 3 times the amount that I got previously. So I guess like it can vary pretty wildly. I don't really like how unreliable that is, but I'm gonna keep going. Ooh, I was dizzy there for a second. That was rough. That was weird. I can't say I particularly like the hitboxes on these. Like sometimes it feels like I should have gone through it and I didn't. See, like I feel like I should have gotten that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to buy some more stuff now. Grabbing a red flute, grabbing a white flute, and that's all I can get for now. Okay, I'm gonna try to get the black flute now. Perfect. So now I just have the decorative items left. That's the pretty chair and the pretty desk, I think is what they're called in this, or is it the elegant chair and the elegant desk? I don't remember. I just want this to be over. Okay. I've been doing it for a little bit. Yeah, I've been doing it for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna see if I have enough. Elegant chair and elegant desk. That's what they're called in this game. Show me an elegant chair. There's not enough ash. How much ash do we need? How much ash do I currently have? Let me figure that out. Okay, so I have 2,410 grams of ash. So I've been doing that for roughly 15 minutes. And total I need... Total I'm gonna need 14,000 grams of ash. This is gonna take me a long time. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be done this video. Okay, all right. In times like this, what do? Our best. We do our best. I'm gonna do my best, okay? I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best. Pray for me, please. Okay. I'm out of repels, so I think I'm gonna go buy more. So this is awkward. I am broke. I mean, like in the game, but also real life too. I guess I'm just gonna go see how much soot I have right now. All right, Mr. Soot Man. Yeah. That sounds about right. Okay. We gotta talk. So when I started making this video, I set out with the mission statement to appreciate a part of the game that I felt went underappreciated. A lot of people blow past the route, myself included, and don't really engage with the Pokemon or the mechanics of it. So I wanted to immerse myself in it. I wanted to shiny hunt for Spinda. I did that. I wanted to mess around with the Soot mechanics. I did that. And specifically in this second half of the video, I wanted to compare and contrast the experience of collecting all of the Soot in Generation 3 versus Generation 6. And I think I did that. Sure, I didn't finish my grind in Generation 6. And sure, that was going to be the last thing I did for this video. And now we're right at the finish line and I'm giving up. And maybe you might not feel satisfied with that conclusion, but here's the thing. I wanted to figure out which one was more fun, which one was easier, which one was more consistent, and I have figured out those things. Generation 3 is more fun, it's easier, and it's more consistent. And I don't need to finish the grind to know that. But more importantly than that, don't do this to yourself. Sometimes I will watch a challenge video for a video game and I'll think, oh, that's really fun. Maybe I'll try to do that myself. And sometimes I will, and sometimes I'll enjoy it. Don't do this, because there's a difference between slowing down and appreciating something that you might not appreciate all the time and getting completely lost in the sauce. So yeah, this may not be the conclusion that you thought this video was going to have, and that's fine. And you don't have to feel satisfied with it either. But this is where I'm ending it, because I gotta know my own limits, I gotta take care of myself, and most importantly, I want to have fun making these videos, and this Soot Grind has not been fun very much to me. So yeah, I have Kotatsu, I discovered something interesting about the Gen 3 games, and that's satisfying enough to me. And honestly, like, this video was a lot of work, so if you enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, you know, maybe leave an encouraging comment for me to make more videos. And if you like who I am, or the kind of content that I do, maybe consider subscribing, because I have some other things in the works that I would really like to get out there. In fact, the next thing I'm working on is going to be a lot more fun and a lot more relaxing. I'm going to try to hunt for a shiny Furfrou in Legend ZA so that I can take on the Furfrou Elite Four. I have completed everything else in the base game of Legend ZA except for that one quest, and I'd like to maybe stream my attempts, so follow me on Twitch as well if you want to maybe see me get a shiny live. But otherwise, I think that's going to do it for today, so go drink some water and take care of yourself, and never do this. Obviously, I couldn't just end the video like that, so I did it. I finished the grind, and while I finished the grind, I watched Brosidon find a shiny, so his luck is my luck. Thank you so much, my dude, and thank you for watching this video. I still stand by what I said, don't ever do this.